I'm James Shillinglaw for Virtual Roadshows Selling Family Vacations. And we have a terrific panel here today for an area of travel that many people don't necessarily associate with family travel, but they should. And it has been a great source of family travel as well. I'm talking river cruises. And we have two great representatives of river cruises here. We have Jen Halboth, who's the CEO of a relatively new line for many of you, but really has had a great reception, whose Riverside Collection or Riverside Luxury Cruises. And there she is right there. Say hello,
Yeah.
Jen.
Hey, thanks for having me, James.
And we have Rob Huffman, who's the Director of Field Sales for AmaWaterways, which most of you know very well. And these are two great luxury lines that offer really every river in Europe, pretty much. And we're going to talk to them about how you can sell family vacations on them and what the difference is. So we're going to get right to it now with the questions. Now, again, let's start with you, Jen. River cruises, I said, are not always associated with family vacations. Why is a river cruise or your river cruise a great way to go on vacation with a family?
Well, I think I think family vacations have evolved, right? Probably especially since when we were kids, right? Like, it used to be just hop in a station wagon, drive across country. But I think now a couple of things, whether it's COVID and families traveling together more, I think especially when you look at the luxury segment, these kids have traveled from go, right? They have been to so many places. They've done Disney, they've done all inclusives. Beaches are great. But I think the luxury traveler in particular is always looking for new ways to do, things with their family. And I think that kids are precocious and they are a little bit more like knowing of the world growing up. And so I think that a river cruise, because of the variety, the flexibility, is a great way for a family to spend time together, but also having a more immersive vacation.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, this year I was on one of your ships on the Rhone, and there was a family. There was a family of an Australian family with different ages kids all around. They had a great time. So it is definitely, no matter what you constitute as a family, this one was a multi-gen family, and it was a wonderful way for them to see the Rhone. And I can go to the same way for AmaWaterways because I have been on AmaWaterways too and seen lots of families. And of course, Rob, you actually have been working with families because you have a partnership with Adventures by Disney that started you on families, and though you do families, you don't have to be part of that Adventures by Disney. You do a lot of families on your own, right?
Absolutely, without question. I got to go back to Jen's comment, though, about the station wagon. I had this wicked flashback to being in a 1972 Vista Cruiser with my parents, making our way across the country. So
Yeah.
thanks for that memory, Jen.
Yeah.
James.
Kids don't know how good they have it these
Oh
days. I
my
mean, come on.
gosh. Yeah, and when they're traveling, they've got their tablets and their iPods and all that fun stuff too. We didn't have all that growing up. But James, you touched on a great relationship, something we're very, very proud of. And that's our partnership with Adventures by Disney. It certainly does kind of bring to light our focus on family friendly cruising without question. And you know firsthand, you have a relationship with Rudy and Christine. We're family owned and operated. And so families are a very integral part. It's a focus for us in AmaWaterways. And we believe that river cruising in general, but certainly AmaWaterways, lends itself to a lot of different activities, a lot of different options. So parents can choose to do one thing. They can do a wine tasting in port while the kids are doing bike tours, or as an example. Maybe grandmother and grandfather want to stay behind and relax by the pool. There's just so many different options for our guests to really enjoy when it comes to family travel.
No, absolutely, and I didn't realize that, because we had back. I used to do a lot of river cruise panels back in the '90s and 2000s, and you got there, and most of the cruises you saw, they were seniors or matures, if you will, and you didn't associate it with families. And then the last 10 years, whether I'm on AmaWaterways, whether I'm on Riverside, I've definitely seen family groups. So it's really a great way to cruise. Now, Rob, I'm going to go with you. What ages do you cater to? Is there a lower limit? Most of the family groups I have seen on your regular river cruises, not necessarily the ones affiliated with Disney, have sort of older kids, maybe teenagers, and they seem perfectly happy.
Yeah, and so we do. We have our policies, if you will. Our minimum age that we have that set forth is 4 years old. And so four upwards, right, is our sweet spot. Probably, James, is going to be around 9 or 10 years old.
Okay.
Important to point out, while we do welcome families aboard, we do not necessarily have children's programs or
Yeah.
facilities, right? So that's really important to point out. And again, going back to Jen's comment a moment ago, where children today are a little bit more seasoned travelers, or can be, we find that the river cruise option is a nice fit for these multi-gen type of families and groups.
Yeah. And Jen, same question. I mean, what ages do you cater to? The kids I saw on board were, not quite, just above teenager a little bit, and then I'm sorry, just below teen. Teen and a little bit 12, I think was the youngest. But do you have a lower limit? And
We actually don't. We actually don't
okay.
have a lower limit. And we don't, not because we're trying to have a bunch of babies on board, right? That's to be very clear. But at the end of the day, especially when you get into multi-gen, it's very easy to all of a sudden, if grandparents want to pay for both kids and their kids and kids, there's going to be a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old or maybe a baby. If requested ahead of time, you can get a crib and a room. So it's not about catering to babies. I do think the sweet spot is in that, kind of 10 plus, right? 9 plus, just because they're more free, they can make their own choices, do their things, but we just don't have a limit because we want to be able to take that multi-gen Christmas, cruise booking if the family wants to do that. So that's the reason that we don't have the limit. But I do think, to the point, it's, we don't have children's programming either, but you're in Europe, it's almost like you're in a fairy tale sometimes. Some cities just, you look like you're walking into a Disney movie, if you will, and when you step off the ship. So I don't think that it has to have that. There's already so many other options that really can, Disney, go to Disney, or go to all inclusives that have Nickelodeon or whatever. Us river cruise lines are just offering something different, something elevated. And I think when you think about the, luxury family, or multi-gen traveler, they're looking for that. They're going to spend that time together, spend that money, and they want to make sure that kind of everyone gets to do what they want and kind of come back with those really cool moments, right? I mean, to see your kid see something, in Europe for the first time, or go and do a painting class with them, or do a bike ride down the Danube. I mean, these are the moments you can't get in the United States. So that's why I think it's such a great option for families.
Yeah, well, I'll give you an aside. When I was growing up, I traveled a lot in Europe with my parents, and they never took me to Disney World or Disneyland. And then later in life, I sort of asked my father, why didn't you take me to Disney World or Disneyland? He looked at me, he said, "We took you to Europe."
Yeah.
So that that
Yeah.
sort of that sort of cut me up after a while because
I don't know. Hopefully you're not scarred from the lack of Disney
I
experience.
think I was.
Are you okay? I think you were.
I've compensated by going to Disney for my work, well, a lot more since then, and my kids did not have that
Right,
option.
right.
So,
Mm.
but anyway, it just occurred to me, and I want to get to both of you on this. The accommodations you offer, I didn't really ask this in the questions I sent to you, but Rob, what you actually have accommodations that will fit families, right?
Yeah, we do. It's something that again, it just with our focus on multi-gen and family travel, we do offer a limited number of triple and quad accommodations, as well as connecting staterooms, James. So it's something that we find our families that do travel together, they do enjoy. It's not something that you find very common in the river segment of the industry, especially the triple and the quads. But it does show our commitment to this format, this type of travel, without question.
And Jen, same question. I mean, do you have accommodations that are going to fit for families?
Yep, absolutely. We definitely have connecting rooms on every ship. So you can, get two connecting rooms, and, depending on the age of the kids, if they're more, older, two teenagers in one room and the parents. But we have things like the penthouse suite on the Mozart that accommodates a triple. larger, 333 square feet. The couch turns down into a bed. So you could put a family of three in there, or you do something like the owner's suite on either the Debussy, the Ravel, or the Mozart. And you've got two separate bedrooms, a common live-in area, larger bathroom, but a bathroom for both. So yeah, we have a lot of options to accommodate different, configurations of family.
Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the kinds of itinerary you feature. I know, Jen, you're on the Rhine, the Rhone, and of course the Danube. And AmaWaterways, Rob is on a few more rivers than that, but the Seine and places like that. Are there any certain itineraries that are maybe better for families than others? I'll start with you, Rob.
That's a great question, James. And the initial answer is going to be there's not a bad itinerary to choose when it comes to sailing the rivers. But one that I go back, I'll use my own personal experience, right? My wife and I, we took our three children on their first river cruise about a year or two ago, and our youngest at the time was 17, and it really was an opportunity for them to experience firsthand what the river cruise was all about. We selected our Rhine Castles and Swiss Alps itinerary. Obviously, kids never been on the rivers, so this gave them the great feel and experience in Amsterdam. We sailed through the Rhine Gorge, the Middle Rhine, with those gorgeous castles that dot the riverbanks. We eventually made our way down into Basel and had the opportunity to visit Lucerne. But going back to the different activities that we offer as well, the biking, when you get down into Basel, we offer a three-country bike tour. I mean, you might not have had the opportunity to go to Disney World, James, but you have an opportunity for a three-country bicycle tour. It's pretty cool, right?
Absolutely.
So they really enjoyed that. And there's another of other options as well. One other one that I would go to would probably be Provence. Our Colors of Provence itinerary, which sails from the Lyon area down to Avignon, Arles. You have great culinary experiences. You have some fantastic excursions. You've got this fabulous Roman history and architecture. You have excursions that can take over from culinary visits to those wonderful markets, all the way to truffle hunting in the Avignon area. So there's a number of different options that would certainly
the dogs are a fan favorite.
You got
the dogs.
Absolutely.
Everyone loves the dogs and the truffle hunting.
No, nothing like a dog hunting for truffles. That's what I say. You're going to follow them. Absolutely. Now, Jen, the same question. Are there certain itineraries that you think are really?
Well, I think that obviously kind of the one that Christmas markets, right? I mean, I just think, going to Europe that time of year, all the markets, obviously very, very kid friendly. Obviously it's just a different look at Europe, and there's things to buy and, different delicacies you can try. But I agree with Rob that really you can't go wrong. I'm actually taking my son very soon on his first river cruise. It's crazy.
How old is he now? I remember when he was
going to turn 16 the week before we take him. I'm actually doing a multi-gen fam where I've invited, and we're doing it over Thanksgiving. So that's just the start of the Christmas markets. We're cruising Frankfurt to Amsterdam. My mom is actually going to be joining as well. And we're going to have all different, we've got an advisor coming with her husband and their two kids. We've got, two, advisors coming with their grandchild. My mom's going to be there with her grandchild, with my son. We're going to have all these different family configurations, and we're really going to work on kind of getting the kids' take on it, showing the experience from their eyes, and giving some great content and tools for the advisors to use. But again, I don't think you can go wrong. I think that we all do a great job of offering so many different choices. I do think Rhine and Danube ends up, it's almost every conversation like, what river first, right? But if people have that vision of like, oh, I want to see the castles, well, then you want to sail through the Bachau or you want to sail through the Rhine Gorge. But
I'm saying that both of you are case studies in family river cruising. I got to tell you, that's and I've seen it on both lines, so it's not like. But again, I'm going back to when the river cruising was first coming into the U.S. market back in the '90s, and it wasn't right. I used to say it was for old Europeans. And and I didn't say that exactly, but I mentioned something that it was a bad joke, and it was the one I used for all my river cruise panels. In fact, they used to say that river cruising wasn't really for people who had some disability or mobility challenges. But now I don't hear that anymore. I mean, this is the challenge, and that I think it's for everyone. It really is.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would tend to
definitely.
agree with you. I'm sorry, Jen. Yeah,
No, no,
I would agree with you there 100%. And going back, Jen, you mentioned you're taking your son on his first cruise. You want to understand, give you an example of just how much kids these days enjoy river cruising. Our one of our other children is 21. He's graduating college in May. All his buddies are planning beach trips and all kinds of.
yeah,
He came to us literally 2 weeks ago and said, "Mom and Dad, I think I want to do another river cruise for my
yeah,
graduation." I
that's
mean,
awesome.
that's pretty cool, right? That tells you that they're not going to be bored. There's lots for them to do, and lots of different options without question.
Absolutely. Well, and then of course you said I'm going to go on Riverside. You said no way.
I would say I've never been on a
I
bad
get a
river
deal on
cruise.
Waterways, right?
No,
Yeah,
we all do a great
that's
job. We
true
all do a
too.
great
That's
job.
it.
Yeah.
That's
No, you
it.
guys all do a great job, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Now, let's talk a little bit about. We've already talked about it. It really is kind of the perfect vacation for a multi-gen group, as you guys are both telling me.
Mm.
Uh,
No, it really is. When you think about if you were all trying to drive around everywhere, move from hotel to hotel, especially once you get a larger group, right? Like the logistics get exponentially more complex, right? You can bring a very large group, multi-gen group onto a river cruise. Everyone unpacks. Everyone gets to, explore the ship, start to think about their excursions, and then really just enjoy the week as they want. There'll be things that they do together. Then there'll be days when everyone kind of like gets, scattered and comes back and shares what they did to the day. We have fun, like we have ice cream on every ship. We do these amazing bubble waffles that you can top with chocolate and strawberries and whipped cream. And we have a fresh
that's for
popcorn
me, Jen.
maker.
That's not for the kids. No.
Yeah. And we have a fresh popcorn maker that we make popcorn every night and put out in the lounge. So, and we have room service. And there's just, again, I think that river cruising in general, from the time that you talk, back from the 90s when, you just did one excursion per port and it was a little bit more of a homogenous, guest group, if you will. It's very, we all do a great job offering a lot of different flexibility from shorter itineraries, which we have a lot of. We have 3, 4, 5 nights. A lot of the Christmas markets are like 5 nights, right? So shorter, but maybe the family wants to do some land on either side. So I just think it's the general flexibility and variety that River Cruise delivers that makes it perfect for multi-gen.
Fantastic. And Rob, the same question, and you already
Yeah.
experienced it. Why is this perfect for multi-gen?
So I want to share a little story with you. I had the pleasure, the privilege of attending an agency conference about 4 or 5 months ago, and they asked Rob, would you mind sitting on a panel to talk about Europe? I said I'd be happy to, of course. Well, on my left was a tour operator. On my right was a destination management company. The two of them, their overarching message to the attendees of this conference was make sure your clients book shoulder season because if they book peak season, our 4-star properties are charging 5-star prices. And our 5-star hotels are very limited. We're talking $800 to $1,200 per night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here on this panel, I'm thinking, wait a minute, right? You mean you've got an AmaWaterways river cruise option that let's just call it $4,000 to $5,000 per person. It includes all your meals. It includes all of your shore excursions. It includes multiple destinations. It includes your transfers. As a travel advisor, I'm not chasing transfers or tours or trying to put together custom itineraries. Everything's wrapped up in a pretty little present with a nice little bow on top,
Yeah.
right? And we pay pretty handsome commissions as
That's
well.
the best part. Both of you pay commission on everything, right?
We do indeed. And so I use that as the example, especially when it comes to groups in general, but certainly for multi-gen groups. I mean, let's face it, right? And Jen, I know you're going to experience this when you take your son. James, we can't argue the reality is when it comes to family, multi-gen travel, we all know who takes care of everything, and that's mom, right? I know my wife's the one that handles it all, right? And so the less we have on her plate, the happy wife, right? You know what they say. The things seem to go a little bit more smoothly. So
No, that's a good
just can't
observation
beat
on the
it.
pricing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Jen, how should travel advisors work with you to really, if they have a family group? And again, family group, we have to talk a little bit about that. It can be defined as almost anything, but how
Yeah.
should they work with you when they have a family?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the best place to start is always our sales directors, right? I'm sure Rob can attest, like, the frontline sales director that's working with the advisor, talk to them beforehand. We can look at different itinerary choices, talk through some of these details, and then, we just get you booked. We've got someone who specializes in groups. We don't have a group department yet per se. We're still very small, but we'll get a lot of those, the input ahead of time, as much information as we can have on the group, any advanced preferences or things like that. But really, it's so much easier than doing FIT, right? Like it's just, I mean, you take a group of 12 and put them on a river cruise versus a group of 12 doing FIT, the advisor is going to spend a fraction of the time and probably make double the money, to Rob's point. So it really, you just start with your sales director, or you start with me, or you can reach out, call our reservation number. And, Michelle Griffin, who works in our groups department, a team of one kind of will start to help, but, we'll all figure it out together.
And same question for you, Rob. How can travel advisors best work with you and get the process going to book a family vacation?
And it's a great question, James, but I'd almost flip it. I would flip it to be, how can we at AmaWaterways work better with you, our valued travel advisors, to help you grow your business, specifically your group business? There's no question. We absolutely love group business at AmaWaterways. Five staterooms, double occupancy as a group with AmaWaterways. There's a pricing discount. TCs are 1 for 9, unlimited. I mean, we want your group business at the end of the day. To Jen's point as well, she's spot on. Our business development managers across the country are there to support you however they possibly can. One unique aspect about AmaWaterways, something that we take great pride in, is we provide local dedicated representation, regardless of whether you're a hosted advisor and your host is in a completely different state or city or time zone. We provide that local representation. We want you to have someone there to support you, to come and help you host events, to get the word out about AmaWaterways.
Fantastic. And I got to just review, Jen, just talk about your fleet and where you go. You have 3 ships?
So, yep, we have 3 ships. So we've got the Mozart, which is an extra wide, similar to the Ama Magna. And so, of course, she stays up, Passau, down through,
She was the original extra wide, if I recall.
Yeah, she was the original extra
wide. As I tell Rudy, he used to say, "Oh, that boat's too big," and then he builds one. But that's
yeah. Yeah. And it's great because with the extra space, we have an additional dining, with our blue in the back, which is really nice. It's a more casual eatery where you can get burgers and milkshakes and homemade waffles, and just a little extra space to spread out. But then the Debussy, we just inaugurated the Debussy this past year at the Astor River Cruise Expo. Starts up in tulip time, comes down onto the Rhine, the Mosel, and also some Danube. And then the Ravel is exclusively down on the Rhone in the Saône.
Yeah, and that's the one I was on briefly last summer. And Rob, you have a larger fleet now.
They have a few more ships.
I think they have a few more ships, but who's counting? So what ship? How many ships do you have today, and where do you go?
Well, we're on an upward trajectory without question. Believe it or not, James, we're going to add 9 new vessels between now and the end of 2026. So we'll surpass that 30 vessel mark very, very soon. And we sail a multitude, as you mentioned at the onset of the presentation today. We sail a number of different destinations. We're on just about all the rivers throughout Europe. Obviously, the Rhine, the Main, the Danube, the Mosel rivers. We're in Portugal on the Douro River, one of our more popular itineraries. Adding a 3rd ship on that itinerary coming up in 2025. We're in Bordeaux. We're in Provence with 2 vessels. We sail Paris to Normandy. We have two ships on the Seine River there. We're on the Mekong River, adding a 2nd ship there in 2026. We also sail in Egypt. We added a 2nd ship on the Nile this year. And then, of course, we have Africa. which is more
Yeah.
of a cruise tour combination with the
I
Zambezi
have actually
Queen.
done that. I did that
I'm
before
impressed.
Christine. I
I
did that
haven't.
before Christine Karst did it, actually. But
That's very nice. I hope you had the chance to track the silverback gorillas like she did.
I tried. I tried.
Good,
It was an
good,
amazing
good, good.
cruise. It was kind of a safari cruise.
Yeah,
But yeah, you go a lot of places,
yeah,
and a great
yeah.
product. In fact, both your companies have incredible products, and we are talking on the upper range of river cruising at this time. So I think it's incredible experience. The food's great, amazing food on both, and nobody's going to go hungry. That's for sure. I never did.
No. Well, I love that you said that though, James, because yes, I mean, I think all the river cruise lines do an amazing job, but culinary is definitely one area where Riverside has really, from the go, focused on. I mean, it's an extremely elevated dining experience, 5-star the whole time, but also the variety. We have a buffet set up in the bistro every day. It's kind of set up for breakfast in the morning. We turn it over. There's charcuterie. So anytime you're stepping back on ship, if you've been out exploring, you can get a little nosh. We have 24-hour room service.
Mhm.
We, do our bistro tapas dinners a couple times during the week. Obviously, we have, our main dining room. We have 2 green eggs that we put up on the Vista, the sky deck, and
Nice.
we grill prawns and steak and we put salad out there. And it's such an amazing experience to sit up there and sometimes while sailing or sometimes just in a beautiful port, enjoying really the reason people come to River Cruise, which is the views of Europe. So we've got a lot of variety and you will definitely not go hungry.
And I think the same for Rob. You're AmaWaterways, and everyone does local now. There was a point in the years when everybody they felt to attract Americans, we had to give them American food. But that is not true anymore, I don't think, right, Rob?
No, not without question. We do have those staples on the menu at every meal, right? So if you're not the type that wants to experiment with your dining, your cuisine, then you certainly don't have to. But we take great pride in delivering that local regional cuisine without question. You know Rudy as well as probably better than I do, James. He's committed to that locally sourced, fresh ingredients and product when we serve the meals without question. And so the only things that are frozen on our ships are ice cream and ice. Everything else is made fresh without question. And we're very honored, very humbled to have been recognized by Le Chandero Tissot. All of our vessels throughout Europe have been recognized, invited to become members of that pretty well respected organization.
Well, in both your ships, you have great tasting menus and dining specialty dining experiences. I once said I was over in Europe. I said it was for me. It was death by tasting menu. I mean, every night, I was at a tasting menu or something. So you don't go hungry at all. Now, where can travel advisors go to get more information on your family cruise programs and a whole lot more? Jen, let's start with you.
Well, I'm excited to announce that we are going to be debuting our inaugural education platform. I know advisors have been asking, but we're fairly new. We kind of need to get our feet underneath us. So we're going to be launching that in mid-November, which I'm very excited. So that will be where advisors can go, especially if they really are new to Riverside and don't know who we are. Start there, of course, the sales directors. But like I mentioned, I'm going on that multi-gen fam in over Thanksgiving. We're going to get a ton of content. We're going to get videos and photos, and I would be happy to share. Hop on with any advisor, with any of their clients, to even talk about why a family, a river cruise is a great family vacation. So we're going to have a lot of new content coming for you very soon.
And what's the website for you guys?
Riverside-cruises.com/TA.
There you go. Excellent. And Rob, the same question about where can I find out more information about your family cruising and in general about AmaWaterways?
Absolutely. And so we highly recommend our advisors register on our travel advisor portal, which can be found on our website as well, AmaWaterways.com. It's your one-stop shop for everything AmaWaterways. Our marketing team, James, goes just above and beyond. They knock it out of the park with these toolkits that they create. And they created these toolkits. They all have assets that are pretty much canned that you can customize, you can push out, whether it's email, social media, geared toward multi-gen or otherwise. There's a number of those toolkits you have access to. So the Travel Advisor portal, and also home to our academy, and offers our any FAM opportunities that we have as well. But make no mistake, while it's a terrific resource, It does not take the place of your local business development manager. We want to build those local relationships with you. And again, our focus is helping you build your business. When you're successful, we're successful.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank both of you for coming on this panel. I'm looking forward to, hopefully I'll see both of you maybe at the Astor River Cruise Expo
We'll be there.
in Vienna. I've heard, Jen, you're going to be there, and I know Rudy's going to be there because he's going to be speaking.
Yes. Yeah.
And probably Christine as well. And he is
Yeah, and we're actually hosting the President's Cruise with Zane.
I know it's actually I'm going to try to get on it because I've now cruised the last 2 years with Zane Kirby, and he's a
You guys are besties, huh?
oh yeah, we're like the we're going biking together, we're all going over the place, and he's a good guy, and I always enjoyed it. And well, I mean, 2 years ago I was on AmaWaterways for 22 days with Alex Panillo because we did the pre and the post. So I've been lucky enough to go on both of your products, and they're marvelous. I can't say a bad word, but again, there really isn't a bad river cruise, but they're different. And one of the things about Astor River Cruise Expo is you get a chance to see the different ships. On their face, they should be the same because they're roughly the same size. Although you guys have the two biggest ones there with Mozart and I'm a Magna, but they're the same product. But what you put inside in terms of the crew, the staff, the service, that's different, and that's what the key is. And I think for both of you, you do an amazing job. Again, thank you so much. And now I'm going to remind our viewers that now's the time you can go down to the virtual booth here at Virtual Roadshows, selling families, and find out much more. You'll find a lot of resources down there in the booth about what we're talking about just right now. But again, thank you again, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, James.
Appreciate all you do.
Okay. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon.